All right. Good evening, everyone. Hello, hello. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. On behalf of Beyond Baroque Literary Arts Center, I'd like to welcome you all to the Wanda Coleman Theater and to the LA book launch of Gail Wronsky's Mockingbird's Proverbs. Give it up for Gail. And for the relaunch of Paul Lieber's Slow Return. Give it up for Paul. So I know many of you were in the bookstore, but we do have these copies for sale in the bookstore, and I'm sure that they would be happy to sign some copies right after the reading. My name is Jimmy Vega. I am the interim executive director of Beyond Baroque. Thank you. I'd like to start by acknowledging Beyond Baroque's presence on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territory of the Tonga peoples. We acknowledge the wrong done to these peoples through settler colonialism, genocidal practices, and the violent disposition of their land. We acknowledge the wrong done to these peoples, and as an arts organization, we are committed to uplifting indigenous communities, their stories, and cultures. For those who don't know, Beyond Baroque is Los Angeles' oldest literary arts center, located here in Venice, California. Founded in 1968 by George Drury Smith, first as an experimental literary magazine before reimagining itself and becoming the literary home we know it as today. We are based out of the original Venice City Hall and help support writers and help cultivate new writing through our extensive program of writing workshops, readings, and performances. We offer a number of workshops online via Zoom, such as our free weekly Monday night fiction workshop, facilitated by Raquel Baker, and our historic Wednesday night poetry workshop, currently facilitated by Jose Hernandez Diaz. Similarly, we offer several paid in-person and online intensive workshops throughout the year. This Saturday, poet and performance artist Nikel Davis will host a workshop titled Writing in the Unknown, which will explore the possibilities of ambiguity and the unresolved tensions of a poem's impact. And later in September, we'll host poet Brendan Constantine's Ghost School, a generative workshop that engages with the work that stays with you, curated for all, but especially for those writers who suffer from writer's block. We've also partnered with the International Writing Program at the University of Iowa and plan to host a series of online workshops featuring authors from across the globe. The first with Mexican poet Manuel Becerra. Manuel's 6-week workshop, Please Cross the Line, will be held online in October and seeks 25 poets to engage with his pedagogical approach towards writing. And aside from our workshops, we offer several readings throughout the year. Tomorrow night, we'll have a noir-styled book launch for Nikel Davis's Penguin Noir. And on Saturday, we'll host a new series featuring new and commissioned work by Chris Santiago, Stephen Rains, and Faye Aika Shumari. The primary work that these 3 poets will present has never been read elsewhere, and they'll also read some new and selected work along with their new commission work by Beyond Baroque. And finally, next week, we'll gather to celebrate the life and the work of the late Jan Wesley. Special friends, along with the Venice Collective, will gather here in the space to read from Jan's posthumous It Wasn't Always Like This. A radiant poet, Jan left behind a body of work that really captures both the fragility and the resilience of living. And next Saturday, we'll have the opportunity to remember her and celebrate her enduring contributions to the written word. So please do come back for that and for all that we offer. You can find us online at beyondbaroque.org or on our socials at BBLitArts. And finally, a word of support. I know many of you are members, but if you're looking to become a member for the first time or to renew your membership, we have these cool, awesome membership premiums. So if you would like to renew tonight, or if you want to become a member to the space, we do have the Writing Life that will come with your membership, or Beyond Baroque wood journal made out of real wood. So. Yeah, if you want to inquire about that, do visit Genesis in the bookstore. And finally, just a big thanks to all of our staff, Eric Alberg in the booth taking care of us tonight, Genesis Perez, Ivan Salinas. Thank you for all that you do. Now, without further ado, I wanted to bring up our first poet for the evening, Paul Lieber. His first collection, Chemical Tendencies, was a finalist in the MSR Poetry Contest. He also received an honorable mention in the Allen Ginsberg Contest. Twice nominated for a Pushcart Prize, Paul produces and hosts Why Poetry on Pacifica Radio in LA and Santa Barbara. Guests have included poet laureates, National Book Award winners, and many known and lesser known poets. Paul's poems have appeared in The Moth, NY Quarterly, Patterson Review, Askew, Pomillion, and many other journals and anthologies. He has taught creative writing at Loyola Marymount University and has facilitated poetry workshops at Beyond Baroque, the oldest literary institute in Los Angeles. Paul works as an actor and has performed on and off Broadway and in numerous films and TV shows. Let's make some noise for Paul Lieber.
Thank you. That's an old bio, by the way. I want to thank Beyond Baroque, which was kind of a home for me, second home. And I want to thank What Books Press for publishing A Slow Return, and also Interrupted by the Sea. And I think that's all the thanks at this moment. I want to start with a poem about just to orient myself to where I am, which I sometimes need to do. But I'm in Los Angeles. The name of the poem is Los Angeles. A car swerves in front of the Mercedes in front of me, and the Mercedes stops, and I stop, but the car behind slams my rear, and I hit the Mercedes in the rear. And we all pull to the side of the 101, 3/4 of a mile, to the 110 going south at 6:45 p.m. to exchange our dates of birth and other intimacies. The guy in the Mercedes tells me he's attracted to men and women. I tell him 25 years ago my wife was crushed in a head-on and I could only identify her legs. The woman behind us speaks Mandarin but cries in that universal sob that the registration whispers that the Ford is not hers. I uncork a bottle of Milagro and we drink to our entanglements. To the 101 freeway, somber sips for the 40,000 a year killed in collision. We pay homage to the deer mowed down on the 405, to the possums that blended with the 90, to the mangled, licensed and unlicensed dogs, the mutts and pedigrees, cats, squirrels, coyotes, and the seagull that couldn't take flight fast enough. The 40 proof no longer burns while the freeway ghosts dance to the Santa Ana winds, then relax on our dented hoods and fenders. We hide the tequila in our mood when the highway patrol arrives in a wool-blended shirts, though the temperature is 98. We answer questions, thank them for clearing the battlefield, hug one another, deflate our airbags, and roll. Okay. That's Los Angeles. Now we're back in New York. Not really, but so this is a Slow Return, and the inspiration for this for the book was this. Can everybody see that? No. Yeah. Okay. It's called Anarchy, Protest, and Rebellion, and they're photos from the '60s and '70s. That were in the Village Voice. I don't know if anybody knows the Village Voice. Oh, you do? Okay. How about that? I'm not alone. This is called a request. And it's the only thing you really know about it, need to know about it, is Ruth Steffen is mentioned. And Ruth Steffen's an author, though I couldn't find the fucking book that she wrote. I checked the internet and everything, but she's in the photo. A request. Tennessee Williams looks to his left. Our eyes shift to the right, the gaze of a skeptic. Is he glancing at Ruth Steffen or beyond? His tie swerves, uneven creases on his forehead, his left cheek in shadow. It's the side of the cheek I kissed. Oh no, it was the left side of the neck. When I told him I acted in his plays, he asked, "Where, in class?" I said yes. And then Tennessee asked, "Why the hair?" My friend Wally explained, Paul's in the play Lenny. Tennessee turned his head slightly, said, "Kiss me," pointing to the spot. I aimed my lips for Laura, for Tom, for Blanche, her wounds. For Amanda, I planted the kiss for Stanley, for Brick, and that click he welcomed when he drank. I kissed him for the Bronx I deserted, but like St. Louis for Tom, we were both drawn back. I kissed him because he asked me. I kissed him for a play he hadn't written yet. Okay. All right. It's okay, you can clap. It's all right. In fact, you can clap before I read the poem. Hey, okay, great. This is 4 photos of the church disco. I think the disco was on Park Avenue, as I remember. And I think that's all you need to know. For rich hippies and out-of-work loyalty, where my girlfriend worked the coat room, garments were left, forgotten, and retrieved by her for me, like that suede dungaree jacket, a smooth cream-colored affair, and how I fell for a blue navy turtleneck. This girlfriend later changed her name, became a Sufi, and her guru revealed I had killed her in a prior life. Heaved a stone at her head on an unnamed beach, and when she shared this murder, I had no recollection, but apologized, as I had for many things in this life. Here, the females at the church on April 24th, 1969, are dressed with whips and chains, one with a bikini bottom, another bald-headed with a braided wig. There's one in an unassuming dress with half-exposed breasts, exposing me to my desire. And yes, I might have asked her to dance on April 24th, 1969, in my suede jacket and blue turtleneck, while Joan was still Joan and working the coat room. Okay. As if this one is anybody, do people know who Sal Mineo is? If you don't, I'm really fucking jealous of you, because it means you're young, motherfucker. As if Sal Mineo with a cigarette hanging from his mouth in an unbuttoned denim shirt. Yes, the boy who died in James Dean's arms, the boy who followed him and Natalie Wood around, who stood for every kid who longed for cool parents. Sal said, "Hi, Paul." Sal Mineo said, "Hi, Paul. Hi, Paul." Shut out of celluloid as if we were both in Rebel Without a Cause. Sal backstage said, "Hi, Paul," as if we were friends, as I left my dressing room. And although he was killed in the film, he seemed to be resurrected to greet me. Soon, the police would arrive at the Morosco Theater on 45th Street, just west of Broadway. Surely, they would shoot my brother Sal again, and then hopefully shoot me. I'm no longer suicidal, by the way. It was a phase. This is called Hollows. I work, this is, in Willowbrook, there was a big scandal in Willowbrook, 60s, early 70s. It was a state hospital for the, they called them retarded, but everybody was grouped together, whether you was whatever, schizophrenic or just whatever. It was a horrible situation, and it was a big scandal how they were deprived with food, and it was just horrible. And I happened to work with for a summer with autistic kids, or at least they would call them autistic now. And for a summer, I woke up this girl in the morning, I put her to bed at night. And in retrospect, it really was the best summer of my life. Not to denigrate any of the other summers in case I shared them with anybody here. But it really, and I tried to get her in a poem, but you know how that is. You can't. Anyway, she's almost in this poem. Her name is Cindy, but it has to do. It doesn't have to do with her. It has to do with the photo. Hollows, where the deprived are deprived. One naked sits on a chair with his legs crossed. Another finds peace and sleep in the corner. A boy contorts in a yoga-like pose. It's the destination for the forgotten, for those who can't dress themselves. A girl outside the frame screams and bites her knees and wrists. Her name is Cindy. She has 3 different voices. All originate from the stains and grime that cover the walls. All are ominous. Now she rocks back and forth to the lullabies she never heard. She finds comfort in her sway. The residents in a lower photo lie down with a camera above to shock us into legal action. The bones of these infants could have been shipped from Buchenwald. The pencil-thin legs reveal starvation. You can see below the skin into the hollows. Stop and weep a few moments and then return. Return to the boy's face who looks like I did as a boy. This one, you know, I was never in the Army, in case you figured that out. I don't know why that would be apparent. I mean, there are so many people you never thought were in the Army, but they were. But I wasn't. But I still had an infatuation with Army-Navy stores. I could not pass one without, going in. I don't know what that was about, but maybe cheap clothes. I don't know. But this is a photo, I guess, of an Army-Navy store. For sale, the collection of knives, Swiss Army, K-Bar, Karambit, and others, rows of smooth steel. The glint among the allure of army jackets, boots, backpacks, vertical sleeping bags lynched from the ceiling. Camouflage. They'd seen it all. Now looking out Kaufman's window, they dream a civilian life. Take me into the peaceful world, they plead, into the damn street, perhaps to a movie, perhaps an art gallery. And this one is about an art gallery, and I had the name of it written, but this is a different book, so I can't tell you the name of the gallery. The name of this, excuse me, I want to laugh a few minutes, and then we'll get back to it. Okay, it's called Non-Judgmental. There's the backside of a sculpture, 2 figures intimately on top of one another. A sculpture of a man with arms crossed watches a few feet away, while 3 actual humans look at the lens. And we too are voyeurs. The sculpture's white with wrinkles that papier-mâché or clay often create. Like certain works of art, it gets better the more we examine it. Even the embarrassment of the guy in a bow tie who denies the aesthetics of copulation. Perhaps the figure lying down is dead. Perhaps the one on top is also dead. Perhaps they're ghosts or soiled angels. On Sheridan Square in the West Village, a George Siegel sculpture of a man relaxes on a bench. I would sit beside this friend and recite my sordid stories, his unflinching countenance listening and listening. George Siegel was a sculptor. Do you know, are you familiar with his work? Yes, some of you are. Some of you think he's an actor, but he is, but that's not the one I mean. This one, let's do Puppet Son. What the fuck is that? I can't read that. I'm switching books for a second. How we doing, Mariano? Very oh, really? Oh, what the fuck am I going to do? Okay, this is not the one I was, but this one is called. I was on a film and I played the father of a transgender, and the character. This is from the character's point of view, and of course the character is the amalgamation of course, the actor's point of view and the character's point of view. And so this is the father when he meets his son's girlfriend, and it's called Cock. She talks like a girl, not girly talk. It's a generous, considerate sound, and sports her frilled dress and heels like incidentals. Carries herself as if those genitals don't indicate a thing. She's my son's girlfriend, and they're tender. I think about touching those breast implants, running my tongue up her legs, but her dick swings like a chandelier. Though it's taped to the inner thighs somewhere, it's that dick I can't stop thinking of, the scrotum and testicles like a Clydesdale's, like a Great Dane's, hanging there oddly with nothing to do, ignored like those distant mountains that irrigate the lower plains. I give her a Thai fan, and she says, "Thank you," opens it, waves the air, as if she's entitled to the breeze she creates. Okay. Let me get back to guilt. Guilt. We all understand guilt, do we not? Good. This is a photo of someone that was killed in the Attica riots, and it's. I shouldn't have to explain the photograph because I really feel that the poems don't need them really, but maybe they need them. Anyway, the body is carried out, and this is called guilt. And 9 men carry the casket where the body rests, where religion starts or stops. Feel the weight, the strain. The woman in the rear of the photo sticks her head out from behind the wall and almost smiles for the camera. The pallbearers carry rage, silence. They're not prisoners. They knew the man. They move the casket into my dining room, drop it on the table. There it remains. Okay. I'm going to read. And we return to our espressos. I mentioned a number of poets in this book, and here's another one. There was a guy I knew, Ralston Farina. He was a performance artist, and whatever cafe I ran in, I would go. It didn't matter what city it was in, could be Europe. He was there, and he was in this cafe and introduced me to Gregory. And we returned to our espressos. Alan, looking as if he wants something from me, to arrive at a similar conclusion. He's impatient. Aren't I right, he seems to say, but I don't budge. I'm sold on my convictions, first thought, best thought. And there is Gregory, reading into the microphone at the Village Theater, focusing on what's in front of him, thickening each word with a luscious Brooklyn inflection. And when I met him in Cafe Trieste in San Francisco, he invited me to smoke a joint. After the third inhale, he asked if I thought Alan was a better poet than he. I replied, "You're my favorite." He repeated, "Do you think Alan is better?" I answered, "Is an elm tree better than a meadow? Is a deer better than a buffalo?" Gregory said, "Don't get cute." And then, "It's not right that I'm poor." That be Mariano? What? 2 more minutes. All right. 2 more minutes. Okay, to 20. I'm going to read something from here. I had an infatuation, I still do, with the ocean. I lived in Venice, and the only, and you know, of course, you live near the ocean, so you strike up some kind of relationship. Before you know it, you're talking to the ocean. And like the photographs who talk back. Anyway, I'm rambling on, and I'll stop. Oh, okay, Navy. It rained last night. It's as clear as 1950 when I had pink skin and hadn't yet daydreamed murders. The hard lines of Catalina can be traced, and the cliffs behind me so defined, each fold begs to be named. And you reflect the triangle of light. Your blue so dark my mother would have called you navy when she could see. Your post-storm, twitching with mini waves scratching the shore. You had a difficult night of water bruises. I'm so tired of pricking myself. You ask why I keep returning, breathing waves. I'm going to read one more from the ocean. Here we go. It's called Breaking and Entering. At your mouth this morning, your smooth, calm, a soft growl. Do you know my mother is 94, eyes failing, and would barely hear you tiptoe today? Your slight surf, stronger than Long Island Sound, but careful not to wake up sleepers, surreptitious breaking and entering, pawing at the sand, a collection of whispers sensitive to the ears of mussels and clams. I think a friend hates me, or does he? How can he not? Who loves, hates, who hates, loves, the old emotional ocean, with your blue singe, your sway, taller now, your unabashed moods. When a roommate had a few days left to cough and smoke cigarettes between gasps on an oxygen tank, she pleaded to be taken to the desert. You're my desert, my mountain range, my cafe in East-West Village, a cobbled street in Paris, the Kasbah in Tangier, my tumbler of sea, a mosaic of titillation, my stretch of impossible. And thank you. Thank you. You could have done that before, though. Just thank you. Here's the last poem in the book that is named after Slow Return, and it takes place in Tompkins Square Park. Do you know Tompkins Square Park? You do? Somebody does. Okay. Well, right now they have farmers markets there. It's very different. I was just there, and like everything, it's very different, including Venice, including Beyond Baroque, which I love, but it's been gentrified. Okay, Slow Return. Covered with snow, the swerving walkways, semicircles, and bare trees, stripped, weather-beaten, a peopleless photo. A eulogy to the park, minus concerts, murders, gangs, homeless, and the celebrations. Allen Ginsberg lived on its border, the 10th Street side. Kristen Linklater, a voice teacher, walked on my back on her ground floor apartment on the Avenue B side. We weren't intimate, the park and I, until I collapsed on its bench, coming down from LSD. It was then it held me in its bosom, rocked me between A and B, softly chanting, "You belong, sit as long as you like," into the trees, the leaves, and people, just people, until everything settles back into its name. Okay. Thank you.
Paul Lieber, folks, give it up. Thanks, Paul. And yes, up next, Gail Wronsky. Previous books include Born in a Barn on Venus, a collection of ekphrastic poems with drawings by renowned artist Gronk Nicarando, a chapbook of poems called Some Disenfranchised Evening, winner of the Swan Scythe Chapbook Prize, was published in 2024. Other books include The Stranger You Are, also with artwork by artist Gronk, Dying for Beauty, and Under the Capsized Boat We Fly, new and selected poems. The recipient of an Artist Fellowship from the California Arts Council and a finalist for the Western States Arts Federation Poetry Prize, Gail and her partner Chuck Rosenthal are the founders of What Books Press and Giant Claw, two publishing houses dedicated to discovering and publishing new literary prose and poetry. Please give it up for Gail Wronsky.
Hey, thank you, Jimmy. That was wonderful. And thanks, Paul. That was a great reading, as always. Always a good reading. I just want to say, and thank all of you for coming, and thanks to the people who are watching as well. Paul and I, this is really a special event for me because Paul and I have known each other since some decade, many decades ago, like the 80s. And many of you don't know that, but we met at the Sundance Institute Playwriting Conference where I was pretending to be a playwright, and Paul was and still is a great actor. And we met, and I met Gwen, and they met Chuck, and we've all been friends since then, and it's a pretty wonderful thing. I'm really very happy about it. So this is great for us to read together. Okay, I'm reading from Mockingbird's Proverbs. I'm going to end with some Proverbs. So first, I'm going to start with a poem that is pretty much about my life in Topanga. And it ends with a very famous line by Lorca. I have become imaginary too. Haunted by the green steam rising off these hills, I look to where you are not and silently agree with you in your absence that with all the crap being piled on us, we'll need explosives to open up any breathing room. These things could change, but I doubt it. And then you return with your nurture, nurture, nurture. Maybe you just need donuts, you say. I say the pounding in my head reminds me of percussion day in preschool. We'll never be grandparents. This isn't jazz we're listening to. It's the extravagances of some conventional romance and nostalgia. And this is the part of the song that makes me think the dishwasher's running. You know that part. Some days we're just skittish. Some days we believe that God is pain and therefore heaven is one heartache after another. Antony and Cleopatra are characters in Shakespeare. We're not. You say all this has been said before. Well, fuck me. I'm a crazy old person. I smell like iron or salad. I've slept in the bed of my ghost. And back to the green steam of the beginning. Verde, te quiero verde. Thank you. I still don't get my R's right in Spanish. I'm sorry, Alicia. And Mariano. I'm sorry, and Antonio. This is a poem, Both of My Hands Are Frightened, and it's basically, I was trying to figure out how to introduce this poem. It's just basically about the imagination. Maybe it's the fine dancing dust of air today that makes me realize I've been riding on the wavy surface of the wind all my life. Or maybe it's the light pouring in like eggnog, or the deep eroticism of marigolds. I've always felt that my soul must be made of infrared silk embroidered in threads of mercury, and if only I could read the story written there, I'd know my past and my future. My toenails are as shiny as 10 black beetles. I'm afraid my imagination has shrunk down small enough to fit in a demitasse spoon, but just once I'd like to conjure up an ocean or a waterfall made of solid marble. Your body curls like a shrimp on my sheepskin rug. Sometimes the blue of the sky comes deep inside me and hollows me out. Sometimes I leave my house, and when I come back, the people I left there have changed in ways I can't explain. I live here now where pronouns have a conditional tense. So true. Today, I think I'd like to engage in ordinary conversation, like what you'd have in a hair salon. English would be perfectly okay for this, so would lorikeet language. When I opened the jeweled box you gave me, death, once so far away, came barreling toward me. I lay there, pitiful as a skinned mink, but it hurried by awkwardly, mumbling like a person trying to bluff their way through a conversation in a language they don't understand. There are images that can't be put into words. Light needs so much dark in order to dazzle. Still, I'd like to read your mother's autobiography, and I'd like to help you write your own so that you can escape from both of them. You, who remind me so much of a motorcycle, burning fearlessness as its fuel. Have you noticed how that ruddy gray hen of a cloud lays the setting sun into a bed of incandescence on the horizon tonight? Thank you. And I'm going to read this one for my friend Theresia de Vrome. It's dedicated to her. A friend asked me about my childhood. Seemed like an innocuous question at the time. The other thing you should know, and my brother Bill is here, and he'll attest to this, is that in our family, the Ouija board was consulted for just about everything. So I grew up a bit of an otherworldly girl. I remember night creaking under the pressure of parents sleeping, the thick lava of their breathing, and all the doors, the garages, the fireplaces in which wind whined. I remember the many domed patches of suburban lawn we inhabited, and vast skies filled with telephone poles, drying linens, and imaginary people ascending into heaven. At times, a fire broke out in a distant neighborhood. At times, the moon seemed to be made of brass, or it resembled an abalone shell or a fish scale. I remember waving butterfly nets in a sky full of spirits, catching nothing but believing fully that no one's soul should be allowed to escape. There was a music box shaped like a French cathedral. It spun around when you wound it with a key, opening like angel wings, many tiny stained glass windows. I remember that cows lying down looked to me like burial mounds, that their eyes were sad, that we ate them. I know, and I'm not even a vegetarian. I'm so sorry about that. Okay. I try to notice things, and this is for all the writers in the room. I imagine there are a couple of writers out there. Yeah. I try to notice things. God knows I've been lost for a long time in thought, contemplating the fears and joys the soul has of itself, so I haven't had much time to write in my noticing notebook. A few nights ago, though, I had a dream in which I used the word visceral in a poem, so I wrote that down. Use the word visceral in a poem. Thanks for that, I said to my dream self. I'm just here to help you live in your body, it replied, in a voice that had a kind of melancholy quavering. It was then that I felt a dawning of the fear of death. It was then that my enormous soul rose up from its pit and held me in its gaze as if with tusks. Oh, okay. A vividly pale, panicky light in the sky. And I'm going to read this for my sister-in-law, Christy Engel, who played Lucky in an all-female production of Waiting for Godot. Because there's a quote in here from Lucky. Rhetoric annoys me in the end. It reminds me of Lucky's speech in Waiting for Godot. Qua, 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 God and his white beard, qua. But sometimes I have difficulty chasing the argument-making impulse from my brain. Ergo, I've been sitting here in eerie sunlight for days, desiring relief from the machinery of logic, which is a lot like the machinery of war. I'm thinking about the profound orphanhood of abandoned cities. I'm thinking about the sinister nature of political maps and about the exquisite idiosyncrasy of the blue maps crossing the narrow planes of our wrists, pulsing subtly the way that my gods dream in rhythmic conversation with the universe while they sleep. Wait a second. This is a kind of love poem. I don't really write love poems, but this is a kind of love poem for you, Chuck, wherever you are. We sat as if in the shade of our own fate, as if on the shore of our own fate. We moved through rooms that did not exist. We moved as if we were getting ready to depart for another dimension. We listened to the secret creaking life of the floor. This was nothing unusual, given the familiar tissue of our nocturnal reveries, those wavy terrains lined with azure wind, those places thick with the private glances that mirrors reflect back to one another. Above us in the ceiling's rafters, there were beaded chandeliers that looked like giant squid. They moved their long tentacles slowly in a kind of silent dancing. I had something else in mind, you said, while kneading the astral dough between my body and my soul. I did too, I said, poking my fingers against the final imprisoning membrane of your consciousness. This is a poem for the present moment. We sit as if in a bird cage delicately. Heck, we feel horrible. Let's face it. Oh, by the way, fuck Trump. Okay, I said it. We feel horrible because the grass beneath our bird feet glistens with some kind of poisonous glue and we don't dare step on it. Instead, we sit on our perches patiently the way shoes sit when human feet have been removed. Our balcony confesses its emptiness to a somber sky. In this post-apocalyptic phantasm of an afternoon, we remember dry seed pods erupting softly, the way grasshoppers used to, and decades, and sighs. We wait to be rescued by science. We twitter like Victorian wind-up birds, our beaks as sharp as opened soup cans. We envy those birds, their jeweled plumage. They envy us because caught in our rib cages, a stubborn vitality endures, its rhythms as familiar as any remembered lullaby or scar. Okay, this poem is in the anthology Poetry Goes to the Movies, which was edited by Suzanne Loomis and Liz Campfield. I think it's the only poem in the anthology that isn't about an actual movie. It's called They're Making a Movie of My Movie, or You Just Can't Control These Things. My movie, Panic of the Arabesques, was a super low-budget Super 8 thing I made in college. It took on issues like the tragedy of sunflowers, like what would happen if femaleness were deprived of breaks. It tried hard in its way to express the inexpressible adequacy of this splendid project, life, full of piquancy, unexpected little shivers, and punchlines. It ended with a slightly jerky procession of marionettes. Their movie will take us to a wax museum where we'll hear a terrible howling and witness the hammering of wax fists against the walls of a plywood diorama. It will be called The Poet's Dream. I'll be watching it in a theater from which there will be, of course, no exit. That last line just wrote itself. Okay, one more poem from this section, and then I'll go to the Proverbs. This is called Or Not to Be, which is a reference to Hamlet's soliloquy. The mockingbird makes an appearance in this poem, and so does the poet Mark Strand. The desire to be nothing. It's a wish that I, in my absurdity, obsess about. I bear arms against it with the help of poetry. Ah, poetry. Fernando Pessoa said that writing poetry was his way of being alone. I write so that one day one of my poems might brighten someone's obscure inner landscape with its perfection. That's only half a lie. I remember a graduate poetry workshop in which the poet teacher asked the class who among us wanted to get a job at a university, publish poems, live a comfortable life, and who instead wanted to write one truly immortal poem before they die. I was the only student poet who chose the second option. Yes, that dumb shit was me. Please, if you could, says Pessoa, a little more wine because life is nothing. A mockingbird whistles insistently in my yucca. Why, poet, I imagine it saying, do you moan your depressing phrases into the atmosphere? While the wind in the tree limbs sings an aeolian song, while there are openings in the sky that will soon enough overflow with flocks of white birds soaring, or with bushes full of perfect camellias. Why does it bother you that amid all the ineffectual fluttering in the mind, what's been, what's to come, what won't ever be, amid the suffering and sorrowing, I'm still singing? Don't you know that when you empty yourself of your life remains? And that's a quote from a Mark Strand poem. What happens when you empty yourself of your death, I wonder? Ah, poetry. Okay, so the section of the book that the title comes from is Mockingbird's Proverbs, and there's really no mystery about who Mockingbird is. It's me. It was a nickname an unfortunate nickname I picked up in college after a night of excessive tequila drinking. It's true. Proverbs number 1. We're a stone's throw from eternity. We know that because the sky is filled with unfinished frescoes and spiral staircases, because there are trapdoors in certain poems. The day will turn emptiness into dark masses of sleep, which is a kind of dense lava enveloping each city at night, which is also a patchwork quilt of the shadows left behind by forgotten ghosts. Diary entries found in the nightstands of our grandmothers contain unexpected apathies and understandable rage. If gods do dream, no dream goes to waste. Live your life under the sign of pearls or the sign of secrets. Wait until everyone has left, then look at yourself in the mirror and begin. it's possible to move on without moving. What I wanted with these proverbs was to sort of embrace the authority of the tone of a religious text, right? And I got my inspiration from William Blake's Proverbs of Hell, from The Marriage of Heaven and Hell, which is one of my favorite poems. Anyway, also I wanted, I wanted that authority and power of that prophetic voice, and also intimacy at the same time. So I think I'm moving back and forth between those two things. I hope it works. Proverbs number 3. There's nowhere to go. There isn't. In this world, everything alludes to everything else. You're not as bad as you think you are. You're not as bad as pain. 3 words you never want to use in a poem: cheeks, sapphire, cacophony. I mean, I use them in this book later on. Don't think your flaws and disguises make you unique. The woman in the rhinoceros mask is a god. If you care at all about the complexities of beauty, act as if this were not a big deal. No one will suspect you of giving a shit. Pretend to be anesthetized, especially on clear, silent nights. Itches are always the same. That's true of boredom and suffocation, always the same. The deepest sleep is the sleep of whomever is dreaming us. When you are lonely, each cell of your body aches with loneliness. Having a good attitude takes the good right out of you. Don't blame the dead for your grief. Proverbs number 4. Sometimes it gets really late, really early. Time to brush away the noisy flocks of demons that possess you and imagine yourself shining the way an insect shines, brightly, almost phosphorescently in a lamp. Imagine yourself that tiny and beautiful. Imagine singing a wispy song like a mosquito. Imagine that time which doesn't exist is God. That love is a place to hide safely for a moment, that thatched cottage by the yellow river. That there's no more stupid shit you have to remember. Days pass, each one turning unreadable pages. Poetry happens when the body speaks out of the thick darkness of its imagery. What we call the past is simply the way things happened to be arranged once. I will always be the one singing the anthem of the infinite in a bargain basement. Although clearly this dress did not come from a bargain basement. Here's the last one, Proverbs number 6. It's not the last proverb, but it's the last one I'm going to read. It's another reference to Fernando Pessoa, and I want to thank Karen Kevorkian for giving me a book of Fernando Pessoa's poetry from Portugal. Don't search for sand through sand. Just don't. Don't try to write a final descriptive record of who you've been. It would read like a funeral guest book, and really, are any one of us one of those aristocratic writers who will have guest books? Who will have funerals? Only the immortals who are immaterial can afford not to care about material things. Gather in your hands the metal debris, the black powder that no broom eliminates, the leaves of grass to which you've given names, the pieces of cloth that listen to you. I never wanted to pass as someone exemplary. Like Fernando Pessoa, I have more than one soul. So do you. One of mine is shaped like an hourglass. I'll leave it behind me when I die, hoping that someone turns it over. Thank you so much.
Let's keep it going for Gail Wronsky. One more time for Paul Lieber. Thank you, Gail. Thank you, Paul. Well, that's it for tonight, folks. We've got some books in the bookstore and a reception right outside. Thank you for spending your Thursday night with us and for supporting Beyond Baroque. Have a good night.